Hey guys, good to be with you today. Missed church Sunday. Um, Reason I didn't do video Sunday was I had a lot of snow to get rid of, and but I got rid of that. I was pretty wore out. Then yesterday I had cataract surgery. My eyes are still a little bit blurry, but I'm doing pretty good. And so I thought today would be a good day since I think it's Wednesday, so it's probably a regular church night for a lot of people. But still, yesterday my eyes was still pretty blurry. But anyway, I'm doing well, and I wasn't going to continue. I just want to do a short video, maybe just a little bit of a history lesson that has really enlightened me to a lot of things that we see going on. It's going to be some information maybe that you knew about, maybe that you didn't. But you look around and you see it seems like so much hatred, so much fighting and discord, not only between people but between nations. And it's been a while since I talked about the nation of Israel, and I always kind of give a little bit of a talk about the nation of Israel because they're so important, especially all through time of humanity, ever since God called Abraham and there was a people that came out of Egypt. They came in a family, they left a nation, and so there's always been turmoil. There's always been fighting. There's always been anger with the nation of Israel. And it's moved all down through time, especially in our day. It will come to a head at the Battle of Armageddon. But there's some things going on. This is not a political message or a political stump in any way. But I wanted us to understand why there seems to be so much hatred for the nation of Israel. And I want to read a scripture. It's in the book of Zechariah, chapter 12. And it says this, start with verse 2. And it says, "Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it." Now, that prophetic word there from Zechariah, it doesn't leave anybody out, and you can write into that whatever you want, but it says that every nation will come against the nation of Israel at some point in the future, and that the nation of Israel has been a burdensome stone, has been a burden. I'm not sure if you are aware. I know that you know about the United Nations and the role that they play in trying to unite different countries to enforce rules around the world. They've got an armed forces themselves. They've got a legislative body, and they try to regulate laws and carry them out in different parts of the world. They work together. But for the United Nations, they spend about 1/3 of their time debating, arguing, voting against the nation of Israel. And the truth of it is that the nation of Israel is so small, they're about 1/1000th of the population of the world. And you would wonder why a governing body, a world governing body, would spend so much time arguing and fighting about Israel. If you look at maps of any Muslim nation, they do not even recognize the nation of Israel. They're not even on their maps. And the United Nations has voted, if my numbers are correct, voted against letting the nation of Israel be part of the United Nations over 200 and some times. They do not, even the United Nations doesn't acknowledge the nation of Israel. And we might think that that's an isolated instance, but the truth of it is, even the United States, no matter how that we portray by our presidents and by our ruling bodies that we are on Israel's side, truthfully, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find out that even the nation that we live in has not truly been for the nation of Israel, including many presidents. And one of those presidents was Jimmy Carter. Among many, there's been a few down through the years that have recognized Israel. The one that was just voted out, President Trump, he recognized the nation of Israel. But I want to give you just a little bit of history, and it's astounding, some of the facts that I've been listening to different people talk about it for months now, since back probably in the spring, and it's astounding how things have worked out. Back in the early 1900s, when Britain was in control of what was called Palestine, which includes the nation of Israel, they began to divide up the land. And when they started dividing, now this is just highlights. If you really want the details, you can go to history, some of the history books and commentaries, and you can look at it yourself. But I'm just going to kind of give you the highlights of things. When they started dividing up the land of the nation of Israel, they kept dividing smaller and smaller and smaller portions till Israel only had about 13% of what really belonged to them. And so we come down to, and this was in the early 1900s, and they still, Jews were coming in from all over the different parts of the world, were coming in and settling in the region that is Israel. And many nations were forbidding them to come. Many nations fought the Jews on every hand to keep them from coming into the land that God had given them. If you remember, I preached a message some time back that the nation of Israel, that land, it does not belong to the Israelites. It belongs to God. God let the Israelites use that land. That property belongs to God. And at some point in time, that land will return to God. And that's the reason that there has always been a fight, because Satan, as I've preached, Satan is fighting in every way that he can to prevent this land to get back to God, but who is the rightful owner. But if we go back into the early 1900s, as people was coming into the nation of Israel, there was every nation in the world, including the United States, was fighting against the Jews to re-enter their homeland. And at one point in World War II, there was 500,000 Jews that were trying to get into Israel, and Hitler wanted to sell those Jews. There was 500,000. He wanted to sell those Jews to some country for $2 a person, so he could raise money for his war machine, and no country, not even the United States, would pay to rescue those Jews. And many of them ended up in Auschwitz and many of the other concentration camps and were killed. But finally, in 1948, the nation of Israel, the land of Israel, became a nation again. There was a war, and they gained their independence. It was a wonderful day for the nation of Israel. And they became a nation once again. And so to me, that just gives me cold chills. Anytime I talk about the nation of Israel and the things that is going on in Israel, then it's just, it's an astounding thing. But yet, even though they had become a nation, they had not regained the Temple Mount in Jerusalem as their capital. But in 1967, what is called the 6-Day War, you had all these nations around Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, and all these nations that came against Israel. And it was a miraculous thing. I've heard Brother Jackson talk about it being a miraculous hand of God moved on the nation of Israel during that 6-day war, completely outnumbered. If I'm thinking right, it was 10 to 1 or 12 to 1. Don't quote me on that, but they were just completely outnumbered. And even the United States was against the nation of Israel. And there's a little known fact, and you can look it up in your dictionary or encyclopedia, or you can Google it. There was an incident. It was in the Red Sea, and the United States had a ship called the USS Liberty. And, we've thought, at least I have assumed all these years, that, the United States is always on the nation of Israel, but they're not. Even the nation that we live in has not been a supporter of the United States, of the Jewish nation. But this incident in 1967, the United States had this communication cruiser off the coast of Israel, and they were actually relaying and intercepting messages from Israel to give to the Saudis and to Jordan and to these other nations that was fighting Israel during this 6-day war, so that these other nations would know what Israel was going to do. And 2 fighter planes, and Israel found out that the U.S. was doing this. And so Israel flew 2 planes over top of the USS Liberty, and they flapped their wings back and forth and gave them warning to stop doing what they were doing. And they didn't. They continued to send messages out against the nation of Israel, and Israel, with their warplanes, bombed the USS Liberty, done millions of dollars worth of damage, killed, I think, around 30 people, some Marines, some communication people, just different ones were killed. And it was never let out to mainstream media because, in fact, the United States was embarrassed that a nation the size of Israel could do something like that. And not only that, it would have been a PR disaster because people thought that the U.S. was on the Jew side, but they wasn't. And so this ship, it wasn't sunk, but it was towed back in and done millions of dollars worth of damage. And so it was an embarrassment. This was from in 1967. And so from that time on, I've always wondered, and this is just me thinking and trying to put 2 and 2 together. I've always wondered why our presidents and the nation that we live in has not truly supported Israel. And I think that this 1967 USS Liberty incident was part of the reason why it was an embarrassment. And I believe that's part of the reason why that no U.S. president, all the way down from Carter to Reagan to Clinton to Obama, Bush, every one of them until we come to Trump, would ever acknowledge Jerusalem as the temple or as the capital of the nation of Israel until Trump. And so, there's many reasons why that, and this is not a political stump or to be a Republican or a Democrat or anything like that at all. I just want us to understand how Satan works and what's going on in our nation. And I've wondered for several months, why do other nations hate President Trump the way that they do? And one of several reasons, is that he established. Now, this is an astounding thing. This is what I'm getting ready to tell you. In 2017, he signed a letter stating that the U.S. Embassy would be moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And in fact, what he was doing, more than moving the embassy, he was stating that Jerusalem was the capital of Israel. No other president had ever done that. No other president had ever. The order had been on their desks of each president since 1967 to sign that into law, but no other president was willing to do that until President Trump. And he signed it, and I don't know the exact dates, but in 2017, he signed the letter moving the U.S. Embassy into Jerusalem. But here is the fact that just I find so thrilling. You know, we know God works in numbers. We know that there's nothing in the Scripture that is done by accident. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a meaning. But from 1967 to 2017 is exactly 50 years, was exactly 50 years to the day that Jerusalem took the Temple Mount, took Jerusalem, and President Trump signed the order for Jerusalem to be recognized as the capital. It was exactly 50 years, and we know what 50 years means. If you study the Scripture, it's the year of Jubilee. That means that things that have been out of a person's possession or out of a nation's possession, or the things that they had lost, those things would be restored back to that individual. And so we see exactly, and I'm going to get on something maybe in a few sermons in a few weeks, about how exact God's numbers are. He doesn't do anything. There's no chance in God's Word. God does things with exact precision. So from 1967 to 2017 to the date, it was exactly 50 years, the year of Jubilee that put back into motion and put back into law that Jerusalem was the capital of Israel. If that should make us rejoice, because there's things going on behind the scene. And so part of the hatred for President Trump is that the fact that he has understood the importance of the nation of Israel. He has understood the importance that Jerusalem to be the capital of Israel. Now, I'm not talking about his integrity, or there's things that we see about him, but that we say that he could improve on. And you know, if we look at every one of our life, there's things that we could improve on. But if we go through the Scripture and we know the Scripture, we can see where God has used people that we would never have thought of to do his work. He called Nebuchadnezzar his son. He called King Cyrus his son. He called many other pagan leaders, because they were doing his will. They were fulfilling his will. He called them his sons. So God can use and choose and do what he wants to, because he is God. And so we see such vile hatred against President Trump. And I believe that part of that is because he has recognized the nation of Israel and the importance that the nation of Israel will play on the scene in our day. And I believe that with all of my heart. But I want to close with this. There's other things, and we could get into many things, but I just want to make this short. I believe that while President Trump was in office, he understood the importance of the family home, the family unit. As fathers, wife, children, he understood that importance. And more than anything, he understood the importance of the unborn child. To me, that is not political. That is something that should be dear to every one of our hearts. I believe that he passed legislation, and he done all that he had the power to do to save the unborn life. He took funding away from Planned Parenthood. He done certain things to try to prohibit the late-term abortion, which is a hideous thing. And I just to be honest, hell won't be hot enough for people who do such things. So I believe that he tried to quell the abortion issue. I believe that he tried to reestablish the home, the family unit, as man, woman, and that being based scripturally. And the third thing, I believe he understood the importance of the nation of Israel. You know, there's a lot of things going on, brothers and sisters, in the world today. And we don't want to get distracted. We don't want to get our minds and our hearts away from what's important, and get our hearts and minds. Don't be fearful to the point to where we don't study, we don't seek God, we don't read God's word, we don't listen to sermons, we don't do the things that we need to do to keep our attention where it should be. But brother and sisters, there's things going on, and my heart swells because there's things going on in our land today that are prophetic. We are seeing, and you've heard me say this, we're seeing prophecy of God's word being fulfilled in our generation. And brothers and sisters, I believe that God has given us, He's given us a little bit more time. I don't know what lies ahead in the months ahead, but I do know this. I do know that we're still here. I do know that God has given us this time not to just do our own thing, not to just sit on our lees and just do what we want to do. Yes, we can enjoy life. We can enjoy our family. We can enjoy being together. But brothers and sisters, God's got a plan for His people. God has got a work for us to do. Let us look at what's going on in the world. And I pray with all of my heart that our families and our friends, that our eyes will be opened up to what's going on and the shape that our world is in and the condition that it's in. And right now, I believe God has given us a time of period to say, hey, come in, get in before it's too late. Make your way to God. Make your way to God. Because that doorway is open for the Gentile, but that door will be shut. That door will be shut very soon, I believe. It may be 2 years, it may be 3 or 4, I don't know. But we can see by the signs, Paul said, of the days and the times we don't know, but he said of the seasons, that we can see what's going on. We can see the direction this world is going in. We can see this one world order. We can see this new way of doing things, of bringing people under subjection. And brothers and sisters, it's just a work of Satan. It's the hand of Satan in the earth today to take our privileges away. I was listening to something early this morning, and it was talking about our U.S. Constitution before I close. And the founders of this nation and the writers of our Constitution knew that the rights that we have were not given by man. They understood that the rights that we have were given by our Creator. And so a nation cannot give you rights. The only thing a nation can do is take away our rights. But our Creator has given us certain unalienable rights. And brothers and sisters, even the Constitution of this great nation are based upon the foundation of God's Word. And so we know that that's what Satan wants to do. He wants to take our rights to assemble. He wants to take our rights to have church. He wants to kill our children. He wants to kill our family unit. He wants to destroy the nation of Israel. He wants to do anything that he can to bring an end to our faith. But I believe and I trust in God that God is able to hold us, to keep us, and to move even in a day when it seems like the Spirit of God isn't moving, even in a time and a day when it seems like there is no Spirit to be had. I believe God can still stir the hearts of people if they'll just open their eyes and look around and see what's going on. I pray that God would open the eyes of people to see that we're living in the last hour. So before I go, I want us to pray. Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the strength, God, that you have forgiven us, Lord, that you have given us. God, forgive us of our sins and our failures. And Lord, the times, God, that we are weak, the times, Lord, that we don't do the things that we know that we should do, that we should meditate and keep our hearts and minds stayed upon you. Touch those, Lord, that are sick. God, bring about unity somehow, some way. Lord, dissolve the differences. Lord, dissolve the differences by the Spirit of God. Lord, we ask it. We ask it and believe it. Lord, we know that you can do things that we cannot. Lord, let us not be weary in well-doing. Lord, let us not fret in the journey, but Lord, let us hold on and be faithful. And Lord, if we'll be faithful, Lord, you will surely be faithful also. Father, bless my brothers and sisters in Christ. Father, I love them and I appreciate them. God, go with us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless each one of you. Hopefully we'll get to see you Sunday. We've got a few that hopefully will get to come out that said they were. So let's just pray, be in prayer for one another. And I hope what I've said today helps you and encourages you just a little bit. And God bless you. I love you.